$15 million. That's what the U.S. government offered for one man's capture. For over a decade, he was a ghost controlling a billion-dollar empire from the shadows, flooding America with fentanyl and leaving a trail of bodies across two continents. They called him El Mencho. But on February 22, 2026, the ghost finally fell. This is the story of Nemesio. Mexico's most wanted man finally met his end. Ruben Oseguera Cervantes. And how? Nemesio Ruben Oseguera Cervantes wasn't born a kingpin. Born on July 17, 1966, in Aguililla, Michoacan, a rural region known for avocados. Not assassins. El Mencho started from nothing. By the mid-1980s, he had crossed into the United States illegally, living in California and diving headfirst into the drug trade. His American dream ended quickly. In 1986, San Francisco police arrested him on drug charges. Then again in 1992, this time for heroin distribution. He served 3 years in federal prison before being deported back to Mexico. Twice. But here's where the story takes a twist. Instead of disappearing, El Mencho did something unexpected. He became a police officer. That's right, the future leader of one of the world's most violent cartels once wore a badge in Cabo. It wouldn't last. The pull of the underworld was too strong. Corrientes and Tamaplin, Jalisco. And by the 1990s, he was back in the game, this time with the Milenio cartel, working as an enforcer for drug lords connected to the Sinaloa cartel. The year 2010 changed everything. The Milenio cartel's leader, Oscar Orlando Nava Valencia, known as El Lobo, was captured. Then Ignacio Nacho Coronel, their Sinaloa cartel protector, was assassinated. The organization fractured into two warring factions, La Resistencia and Los Torcidos. Los Torcidos won, and in the ashes of that victory, El Mencho built something new, the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generation, the CJ&G. In 2011, they announced themselves to the world in the most brutal way possible. 35 bodies dumped in Veracruz, with a message claiming they were Los Mata Zetas, Zeta killers. It was a declaration of war against one of Mexico's most feared cartels, and it worked. Under El Mencho's leadership, CJ&G didn't just survive, they exploded. By 2019, the de-estimated CJ&G was responsible for 1/3 of all drugs entering the United States by air and sea. Fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, they manufactured it all in clandestine superlabs across Mexico. Former Chief of International Operations, Mike Vigil, put it bluntly. El Mencho was one of the biggest drug capos in the history of drug trafficking around the globe, almost at the same level as El Chapo himself. What made CJ&G different wasn't just drugs, it was tactical military precision. El Mencho built a paramilitary force. We're talking about RPGs, .50 caliber sniper rifles, armored vehicles, and his own personal SWAT teams. In 2015, they did something unprecedented. They shot down a Mexican military helicopter with a rocket-propelled grenade during an operation to capture El Mencho, killing 3 soldiers. The violence wasn't random, it was strategic. In 2020, CJ&G gunmen armed with high-powered rifles and grenades attempted to assassinate Mexico City Police Chief Omar Garcia Harfuch. He survived, his bodyguards didn't. But perhaps most chilling was CJ&G's recruitment strategy. They placed fake job ads online, luring unemployed young men with promises of security work. When applicants showed up, they were forced to join or tortured and killed if they refused. In March 2025, investigators discovered charred remains at what appeared to be a CJ&G training ground, shoes, clothing, and bones of those who couldn't escape. By 2024, CJ&G had expanded to over 40 countries, with operations in nearly all 50 U.S. states. Their financial arm, Los Queenies, handled money laundering through Chinese networks, cryptocurrency, real estate schemes, and even timeshare fraud. The U.S. government had seen enough. In December 2024, they raised a bounty, $15 million for information, leading to El Mencho's capture, the highest reward for any Mexican cartel leader. For years, El Mencho was a phantom. Rumors swirled he died of kidney failure in a Guadalajara hospital. He'd been killed by rivals. He was hiding in rural Jalisco with a private medical center built just for him. Mexican authorities investigated. Nothing concrete ever surfaced, but behind the scenes, a multi-year intelligence operation was unfolding. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source: romance. According to Mexican Defense Secretary Ricardo Trevilla, on February 20, 2026, military intelligence tracked a trusted associate of one of El Mencho's romantic partners. This associate transported the woman to Tapalpa, Jalisco, a mountainous, gated residential compound. She met with El Mencho. She left. He stayed for 48 hours. Mexican forces maintained a perimeter in surrounding states, avoiding Jalisco to prevent raising suspicions. They had air support from 6 helicopters and the Mexican Air Force. On February 22, 2026, at dawn, special forces moved in. The raid was explosive. CJNG security opened fire immediately. 2 separate firefights erupted, one at the compound, another in the surrounding forest as El Mencho tried to escape. His gunmen hit a Mexican Army helicopter with gunfire, forcing an emergency landing. But the cordon held. El Mencho was shot, critically wounded. 2 bodyguards died with him. 2 others were captured. 3 soldiers were injured. As El Mencho was airlifted out, he died during the flight to Mexico City. Mexican authorities chose the capital for security reasons, knowing that landing in Guadalajara would trigger catastrophic violence. The White House confirmed U.S. intelligence had contributed through the Joint Interagency Task Force Counter-Cartel. After more than a decade as Mexico's most wanted, $15 million in rewards, and countless lives destroyed, El Mencho was dead. If Mexican authorities hoped for quiet, they were wrong. Within hours, coordinated violence erupted across nearly 20 of Mexico's 32 states. Narcobloqueos burning barricades of hijacked buses and trucks shut down highways. In Guadalajara, Mexico's second-largest city, smoke rose over major intersections. Public transport suspended, schools closed, banks and OXXO convenience stores were torched. Guadalajara International Airport descended into panic as travelers fled terminals. 25 National Guard members died in retaliatory attacks. Dozens of suspected CJNG gunmen were killed in clashes. The U.S. State Department issued shelter-in-place advisories. Airlines canceled flights. It took 2,500 additional troops to begin restoring order. This wasn't chaos, it was a message. CJNG was organized, militarized, and despite losing its leader, still capable of sustained, multi-state warfare. As one analyst noted, the cartel demonstrated a level of organization, capacity, that few non-state actors in Latin America can match. El Mencho's death wasn't the end of his family's legal troubles. It was the continuation of a collapse that had already begun. His son, Ruben Oseguera Gonzalez, known as El Menchito, had been extradited to the U.S. in 2020 after fighting deportation for 5 years using fake identities. In March 2025, just months before his father's death, El Menchito was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years and ordered to forfeit over $6 billion in drug proceeds. Prosecutors stated he had ordered more than 100 murders personally and supervised labs that produced over 1,000 metric tons of methamphetamine. His son-in-law, Christian Fernando Gutierrez Ochoa El Guacho, had been arrested in California in 2024, living under a fake name in Riverside after El Mencho helped him fake his own death. He pleaded guilty to international money laundering conspiracy in June 2025. Even El Mencho's wife, Rosalinda Gonzalez Valencia, had been arrested in 2021 and was only released from prison in February 2025. And, in February 2025, El Mencho's brother, Antonio Ceguera Cervantes, was transferred to U.S. custody along with 28 other defendants facing federal charges. The empire was crumbling from within, so what happens now? History offers cautionary tales. When kingpins fall, cartels either restructure or fracture into violent civil wars. The kingpin strategy that targeted El Chapo actually helped create the conditions for CJ&G's rise. Now, with El Mencho gone, will CJ&G splinter into factions fighting for control? Or will someone new step into the void? Already, there are signs of internal stress. The Mezcalas faction in Colima had already broken away in 2022, claiming El Mencho was dead. Now that it's true, more fractures may follow. What's certain is the devastation left behind. Tens of thousands of overdose deaths from fentanyl. Entire communities terrorized. A drug trade that continues to adapt, evolve, and profit. El Mencho built an empire on blood and chemistry, but the machine he created outlives him. As former D agent Matthew Donahue once warned, El Mencho wasn't just a target. He was the #1 priority for D and frankly for federal law enforcement in the United States. Now that priority has been checked off the list, but the war that continues. Nemesio Ruben Ceguera Cervantes El Mencho rose from deportation and disgrace to become one of the most powerful criminals in history. He flooded America with poison, built a private army, and evaded capture for over a decade. On February 22, 2026, Mexican Special Forces ended that run in a hail of gunfire in the mountains of Jalisco. $15 million. No one collected it. The ghost is gone, but the cartel he built still burns literally and figuratively across Mexico. If you found this story compelling, subscribe for more deep dives into the shadows of organized crime. Drop a comment. Do you think CJ&G will survive without El Mencho? Let me know your thoughts.